The Adventures of Spider, read for you by Sean Fan. How Spider got a thin waist and the introduction. Everyone knows about Spider. He's a favorite person in the stories of West Africa. Maybe it is because he's just like a naughty little boy who is full of mischief and yet loved by everyone. Maybe it's because he likes some people call of us know. Maybe it's because he's a little like you and me, or at least a teeny part of us sometimes. A spider is clever and mischievous. She loves to eat and he hates to work. He plays so many tricks that gets into a lot of trouble. But when he's good, he's full of fun. How Spider got a thin waist. Many dry seasons ago, before the oldest man in our village can remember, before the rain and the dry that any one of us can talk about to his children, Spider was a very big person. He did not look like as he looks today, with his fat head and his fat body with thin waist between. Of course, he had 2 eyes and 8 legs, and he lived in a web. But none of him was thin. He was big and round, and his waistline was very fat indeed. Today, he is very different. As all of you know, this is how it came to pass. One day, Spider was walking through the forest. It was early morning, and he noticed an unusually pleasant smell. He wrinkled his nose and sniffed the wind. It was good. Goodness! He almost had forgotten. Today was the festival of harvest. Every village in the big forest was preparing a feast. The women were cooking yams and cassava, and chicken with peanut-flavored sauce. There would be fish and peppers and rice boiling in great pots over the fires. Spider's heart jumped for joy. His mouth watered. His eyes sparkled and he smiled brightly. Already he could taste the food on his tongue. Now, of course, Spider had not done any of the work to deserve such a feast, and no one had invited him to come and eat. Spider had not planted yam or potato. He had not planted rice, nor gone to sea in a long boat to catch fish. For Spider did not like to work at all. All day he played in the sun or slept. Since this is not the one store, he could eat very well by simply visiting all his friends. In fact, he ate more than they did. Now, Spider's right in the middle of the forest. Not far away, there were 2 villages. Spider stood just in the middle, and the 2 were exactly the same distance away. Today, each village will have a feast. How lucky for me, thought Spider, but then he was puzzled. Since there were 2 dinners, he did not know which one he wanted to go, and that is, he did not know which would have the most to eat. So Spider sat under a breadfruit tree and thought and thought and thought. At last he had an idea. He could go to them both. Of course, Spider was so pleased with his good idea that he did a little dance right here and then. But how could he know when the food was ready? He sat under the breadfruit tree again, and then thought and thought and thought. And then he got another idea. He did another little dance just because she was so brilliant. Then he did 2 things. First, he called his eldest son, Kuma, and took a long rope and tied one end around his waist. The other end he gave it to his son. Take this rope to the village on the east, he said to Kuma. When the food is ready, give the rope a hard pull, and I know it was time for me to come and eat. So Kuma went to the east village and took the end of the rope with him. Then the Spider called his youngest son, Kakao. He took another long rope and tied it around his waist, just below the first one. Kakao Take this rope to the village on the west, he said, and when the food is all cooked, pull very hard on it. Then I'll come and have my fill. So Kawu went to the west village, carrying the end of the rope with him. My friends, you can imagine what happened? I don't think so, so I will tell you. The people in the east village and the people in the west village had their dinners at exactly the same time. So, of course, Kuma and Kawu pulled on a rope of the rope's same time. Kuma pulled to the east and Kawu pulled to the west. The rope got tighter and tighter. Poor, greedy spider was caught in the middle. He couldn't go neither east nor west, nor left nor right. Kuma and Kawu not understand why their father did not come. They pulled harder all the time, and something was happening to the spider. The rope squeezed tighter and tighter, and his waist got thinner and thinner. Kuma and Kawu waited until all the food was eaten. Then they came back to look for their father. When they found him, he looked very different. His waistline is thinner than a needle. Spider never grew fat again. He stayed the same until today. He has a big head and a big body, and a tiny little waist between. We'll read Why Spiders Live in Ceilings next.